I think the truck in front of us might have thrown something out. I don't know, whatever it is, we kind of drove. I didn't want to swerve on it. I don't know what it was. It had something solid in it though. It bumped. Wasn't bottom. It was something solid. I just fucking went over it. I think I threw it out to see if I would swerve. Nope. No. Just run right through it. So we made it. So now we're sitting. So this is a little raw. This is, I just took a nice bath with Epsom salts, and I lit a candle, turned the lights down, and had maybe a third of a pre-roll. It's a great way to end the day. So you get the Santa Cruz Batman with no makeup and no outfit. So I've always gotten a lot of questions about where is the Santa Cruz Batman channel, let alone the whole project, and what is the project. It's really hard to answer unless it would be like a 3-hour video. So I'll break it into parts. Let's call this part one of the origin of the Santa Cruz Batman project. And for the part one, it really goes all the way back to probably about 1977 or so in downtown Portland. That's about when I started playing chess competitively. It's pretty good. And if you're pretty good, you can go to these little tournaments that cost $5, $10 to get in. And if you place second, third, or first, you can take home a couple $100. So for a kid with nothing but a paper route, that's a good way to make fast cash without paying taxes. So in doing that, riding TriMet with my chessboard, my pack, my chess clock, and having to kill a lot of time between games and also tournaments starting and stopping, because they're usually held in really low rent places for obvious reasons. It's not a very profitable business to have chess tournaments. So they were in like the lobbies of some famous hotels that have been renovated, like the Benson before it was renovated, maybe the Paramount Theater, and then what is now the I can't remember, on 10th Street there, the Grand Hotel. But that was also featured in my own private Idaho, that hotel, before it got renovated. There were chess tournaments in there. And also the Doug Fir on the east side used to be the Continental Motel, but in the basement were cheap to rent, like maybe $25 for a day for chess tournaments. So long story short, in my travels from Beaverton to get down to these chess tournaments, I'd always stop at the Park Blocks and other parks. And at that time, and really all times, Portland is a fairly druggy town, because it used to be it's a port, sailors, and there's always been a lot, like whatever the most recent war, Vietnam at the time, those people addicted to heroin or whatever they're addicted to are hanging out in the parks, and some of them play chess, and so I would routinely beat them. Not always, but they would talk, and a chess game in a park gives you an opportunity to really have a lot of dialogue with someone, complete stranger. The chess is a side thing, and so here you have people who are the complete opposite, maybe of the way you've been raised if you're from the suburbs, telling you things that are perhaps counter to what your regular mentors, your parents, your teachers. And as you get older, the things I remember them telling me became it's pretty good advice. So I learned at a young age to pay attention to those homeless guys, because a lot of them ended up, once they got back on their feet, running companies, hiring a lot of people. Some didn't make it. Some became, artists. But that was my lesson in don't judge a book by its cover. Sit down and play a game of chess with it. And some of them were amazingly, a lot of mathematicians. Of course, a lot of bipolar, schizophrenic, autistic to some degree. But that's part of the reason why they're down there is regular life, PTSD, it's hard to take, and sometimes it's not that you're homeless, it's just that you prefer to be outside. And so some of these people were really very interesting characters that as a 12 and 13-year-old, getting to talk to them without a filter, hovering around like parents or whatnot. Just back then, you're 12 years old, you can just wander around downtown Portland and walk in these parks, and sometimes they solicit you. But, so you grow up real fast. So that's the origin of Santa Cruz Batman. Of course, how it actually ends up to me having a police cruiser or police-like cruisers and running around homeless camps from Detroit to Silicon Valley, Austin, Texas area. I've even been in Albuquerque a few times, and all over New Mexico, Arizona, some in Oklahoma. But I'm focusing this now since I've retired from high tech temporarily. I may still do that in parallel, and I'm focusing on explaining what Santa Cruz Batman channel is. So there's a lot more to explain. That's part one. Oh, there's Chuck and Larry. I gave Larry up. Budweiser.